And welcome back to the Constitutionalist Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the only podcast on the website, cpluscounty.com. Like I just said, it's the website. Go there. Still trying to gather my bearings. Oh, my gosh. Welcome back. This is a podcast. If you'll excuse me, if you're watching the video version, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. If you're not, I am adjusting the microphone. I sat down extremely late to check on the cameras, and now everything is going out of whack. It's the middle of the day here. Another middle of the day podcast where I am just recording things and we got a little text. And I'm just recording things, and that's how it is right now. All right, there's not a lot of stuff. Actually, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. But listen, I have very little space on that camera. I've been keeping files because of a freelance thing I did. Did I just turn the thing down? I did turn it down. I've been keeping some files because of a freelance gig, and now I mean they're on my computer too, so I think I should. But they're also on the camera. But now I have low space on my computer. It's all very odd for me to have this thing. Speaking of freelance, anybody is in need of somebody doing something for them, I'll do it. Let's get on to the show. All right, so last week, actually, Jason Witten returned to the Cowboys. I just wanted to mention that because I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't like bending down to talk into this microphone. Jason Witten returned to the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan, huge Cowboys fan, and I'm excited to see him return. He was commenting for Monday Night Football, and it wasn't good. Tony Romo, fantastic at commentating because I'm not saying that Jason Witten doesn't do this, but Tony understands the game. Tony knows what's going on. He knows what's in the mind of a quarterback. He knows where the ball is going to be headed. And he had like a 90% hit rate for when he was commentating. But when it came to Witten, when it comes to, and I can say this about a lot of commentators in the NBA, a lot of players who were commentators in the NBA and NFL. And I have never seen an NHL. I've never seen an NHL game. So, but NFL, NBA, and I don't know. I think the MLB guys are pretty good at commentating, given the games that I've watched at home. But Witten just did not perform. He didn't perform well. There's a lot of guys that are in the booth right now who just say like, oh, boom, that's a good hit, or yeah, that's a good, it's like I just talked about this a couple of weeks ago for News Time. The NBA, they have these players only broadcasts where it's just the players, expired players, retired players who are commentating. And a lot of people don't like it. They don't want to hear like, boom, oh, he's going to shoot that, and just like making jokes and stuff. They'd rather hear a couple of people talking about what's going on in the game, how the current players can overcome, their situations and all that stuff. But Witten, he couldn't do that. And so now he's returning back to, this is from ESPN, written by Todd Archer. Oh, Jesus, I shouldn't have scrolled up. I just had the thing in my eyes. Okay, Witten is leaving ESPN's Monday Night Football. It's the first paragraph. I'm so stupid. Witten is leaving ESPN's Monday Night Football and returning to the playing field less than a year after announcing his retirement. Sources told ESPN that the tight end is getting a one-year deal worth $3.5 million that can max out at $5 million, including a roster bonus and incentives. So yeah, there we go. That's it. That's all I want to talk about. I love it so much. Let's see. This other article says Jason joins the unretired NFL All-Stars list. This comes from Kevin Seifert, also on ESPN.com. Randall Cunningham, Deion Sanders, Ricky Williams, Bronco Nagurski, Marshawn Lynch, of course, Steve DeBerg. Those are all the guys that have also returned. They also did return, and they're All-Stars. So definitely check that out. There's another list I have from Sports Cheat Sheet from Jimmy Kaler, 15 professional athletes who didn't know when to quit. And, of course, you got Michael Phelps up there, Lance Armstrong, Foreman, Mayweather Jr., Roger Clemens, of course, like all these great guys you can just read about. But one list focused on just football, the other one didn't. All right, so second half. So then the other story I want to talk about was the Anthem. So a video game came out called Anthem, created by a team called BioWare, which also did Mass Effect. They're a branch of EA, which is Electronic Arts. And I don't know, do people call it Electronic Arts anymore? I don't know what to do with my hands right now, so it's just going under my butt. Do people still call it Electronic Arts? I wonder if they do. There was a time, I think in 2013, when EA was voted the worst company based on the Better Business Bureau, based on people's ratings of it on the Better Business Bureau. And there were worse companies out there doing way worse things. And I always thought that is so stupid that a bunch of angry little men went to, and I guarantee it was probably, gamers are also women too, but whatever. But I always thought it was so stupid that people decided to go to this website and say, I'm so mad at EA. And the only reason that people voted was because it was this was like the beginning of microtransactions, which are you can spend like $1 to $5 on some in-game item, and it's either pay to win or something cosmetic or something like that. Well, now they're all mostly cosmetic. But I remember that was always so stupid to me that people were so mad at something like that. And I always thought, like, yeah, there's genocide in the world, and there are people who can't feed their children, but you're gonna vote EA the worst company in the world. It was maddening. It was mind-boggling, is what it was. But now EA is in more hot water. They have this a video game. It's a games of service game called Anthem. Games of service means it's a video game. You still get your regular story, but it's all online, and you're incentivized to play with other online players and teams and groups and all that stuff. And then you're also, and then the game essentially it never ends. It's like an MMO, but there's nothing interesting happening. I prefer an MMO to a games of service game. The games of service hasn't even been around that long. It's like Destiny, Anthem, and they're all shooters, which really sucks. Destiny, Anthem, Apex Legends, which is the newest one. Even Battle Royales do count as that too, I would assume. Fortnite, all those other games, stuff like that. So Anthem players are saying the game is crashing their PS4s. This is reported on Monday via Kotaku, or it really happened over the weekend via Kotaku and a bunch of other outlets. This is from Ethan Gatch, and it's true. Like, a lot of people are angry that such a game could be released in such a state. It's a AAA game that has been released, and it is causing PS4s, Xboxes, and PCs to basically not work. But I think it's mostly PS4s from what I'm seeing. So this is from a user from the For the Masters. Oh, so this is from subreddit. This is from Reddit. Okay. When encountering a crash or a game error, sometimes I get booted to the main menu or out of the game completely to the PS4 dashboard. But twice now, when trying to matchmake my PS4, has completely turned off, which is insane. This is like a game in 2019 should not. I know the worst things about games was that they were like in the 90s was that they were like hard. Like the Lion King game, which is I just read about something. I read an interview about the Lion King game this morning and why they made it hard. Disney, essentially, that game is notoriously hard. The Lion King game, I think it was on NES or SNES or something like that. Whatever, I don't know. It's notoriously hard because Disney was trying to curb people who rented games. They wanted to encourage people to buy it. So they said, hey, make it astronomically hard. And there you go. Which is, contrary to what we have today with a game like Dark Souls, which is hard just because it's a hard game. I don't know how to describe it. But of course, Anthem, we have this game that's crashing consoles, crashing $400 or $500 consoles. The strongest gaming devices in the world are being brought down because this game is poorly coded, poorly done, and it's really bad. I know Sony, I read yesterday, is giving back refunds to people whose entire consoles have been crashed. But some of them, and I don't know how many it is, but some of them have had their PS4s brick because of it. So I don't know what happens after that point. But when a console bricks, it means it can't work anymore. I know I had an Xbox 360. that was one of the first run Xbox 360s, and whenever it came out, like 2008 or something like that. And when it came out, no, 2005. 2005? Was I? No. How old was I? I don't know. Anyway, I was an older gentleman, older little boy. I was an older little boy, and the first run Xbox 360s had an issue inside the motherboard, I think, with the heat sinks. I don't know, whatever, where it would cause it to red ring. And red ringing was like there's like a green ring on the front of the Xbox when you turned it on. But if there were three rings instead of 4 rings, then there was an issue. It flashed 3 red rings in your face, and then the trick to get around that was to wrap it in towels and then let it heat up and let it get really hot, and then you shut it off like like that glues all the heat sinks or whatever back together. And then you can turn it on in like 10, 15 minutes, something like that. I did that for so long, and it sucks so much because, Microsoft, it didn't do anything about it. And then eventually I bought an Xbox 360, the black version. I had the white version, so I bought the black one, and then the black one worked all the way until college, and then I got an Xbox One like a year after it came out. So that's the story of my gaming lifestyle. So there we go. Yeah. So Anthem is crashing all of these consoles. So EA issued a tweet last night. They issued a tweet. Let me get on here and issue a tweet. Okay, here we go. The tweet's going out. Okay, that was the worst thing I've ever done. I'm so sorry. I can't even look you in the eye. Okay, so just writing down the title of this episode. So EA tweeted out last night, we are aware of crashing game issues some of you have been reporting for #AnthemGame. We're investigating and ask that you share your crash data reports when prompted. If you have, we'll be reaching out to gather info. If not, please reply to this thread on ahqanswers.ea.com. Which should be pretty embarrassing for them, because this is a game that they touted last year at E3. It's supposed to be their big, their next big. It's supposed to be something that went alongside Destiny, but it didn't. And here we are at this issue. So there's there's a couple of workarounds. I don't know what's gonna happen, but this really sucks. This is something that should not happen for video games in general, especially for strong consoles like that. Like, imagine spending money on a video game and then you go to play it, and then first of all, the game is not that good. Not when I would say good, but it's not that well received by critics and audiences alike. And then you say, you know what, I like it enough, I'm going to continue playing it, and it just hurts your console, and it just ruins everything. I don't understand how the last game that BioWare put out was Mass Effect Andromeda. And that game had performance issues as well. The other 3 Mass Effect games also had their performance issues here and there. Like, they're open world games, they're huge games, and it sucks, but you kind of expect issues. Except games like the Elder Scrolls games. People accept the bugs in there because those games are like a Fallout and an Skyrim. Like those games, Elder Scrolls, Fallout and Skyrim. Those games are huge. They're gigantic, and they offer hundreds of hours of gameplay, versus Mass Effect, which is finitely 30 hours. I spent 32 hours doing everything. Or Anthem, which only offers so much, even if you continually do raids or whatever they're called. I think, but it's so stupid. But people let those bugs go for Fallout and Elder Scrolls. For Skyrim and Fallout, they let those bugs go because they're so big. But then you get a bug in Mass Effect, in Mass Effect Andromeda in particular, a game I still haven't finished, where the lip sync is bad, the animations are bad, but it's still Mass Effect, and the gameplay is still fine. I wish I said this last week the week prior when I finished Mass Effect 3, like all the DLC and all that stuff. I thought because the controls in there are just so tank-like and horrendous. I won't say horrendous; it's not that bad. But I really wish that if they remade the Mass Effect trilogy, because I will buy it I will spend all the money on it. Then I wish they would port all the controls from Mass Effect Andromeda to the Mass Effect trilogy. I know it's impossible. I know that would require recoding the entire game or whatever the heck it is those people do. But I think that'd be really interesting. Listen, that's the end of this half. I want to get into the second half because we got some real interesting stuff coming from Steven Spielberg. So let me just take a break and check on this camera, and then we'll be right back at the next start of this show. Okay, shut up, Chad. Here we go. Cool. All right, welcome back to the Constitution Podcast. I got up. If you're watching the video, the microphone is right in front of me on my stand. I got up, and the microphone got caught in this flannel shirt of mine, and I pulled it, and it got all out of whack. So I got to do this again. This is sad. To this show nobody listens to. Also, I love this flannel. This is one of my favorite flannel shirts. And I got jeans on. If you can't see, this is a jeans episode. Okay. Can you hear that? There's somebody in the apartment behind me. No. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. So the main thing I want to talk about. Actually, there's two things. The main thing I want to talk about was Steven Spielberg. He had some choice words to say about Netflix winning Oscars. So of course Roma does really well at the Oscars, and Netflix, that's a huge get for them. They have a Best Picture nomination. They have Best Director nomination and win. They have the Best Original Screenplay or Best Foreign Screenplay and Best Original Screenplay, something like that. Let's see. And then they also won in 2017 Best Short Film, and then they have Emmys. They won for Best Short Documentary Film, I believe. They also won for Best Short Documentary Film in 2017, not Best Short Film, but Best Short Documentary Film in both 2017 and 2019 for the period film. But there's a lot of people who aren't too happy about what Netflix is doing. And one of the people happens to be probably the biggest director in the world of all time. Let's just say of all time, Steven Spielberg. He has not been a fan of streaming movies, and he thinks that a lot like a lot of people who are film experts and people in the industry. He thinks that Netflix mostly Netflix these streaming services are bringing movies down, and I've often joked that Netflix has TV movies, essentially. But Spielberg, in the past, like I said, talked about he's even called them TV movies, fit for Emmy consideration rather than Oscars. Ooh boy. Okay, so this article comes from AV Club. William Hughes wrote this. It's called "Steven Spielberg is gunning to make sure Netflix never has another Oscar contender like Roma." But I think. All right, I'll say my thing, my break at the end of this. So let's see what he said. The studio complaints about Netflix break down into a few simple categories. The first is that they spent way more money on Oscars marketing this year than anybody else. Reported numbers range as high as $50 million, although even the more conservative $25 million would be 5 times what Universal spent for Green Book. And Green Book won? Ugh, that's gross. Netflix and Green Book. Second, there's the whole they don't run their films in theaters unless we make them thing. This one is exacerbated by the fact that the studio doesn't license its movies to theaters to run, instead renting them outright and keeping all the ticket sales for themselves. Among other things, that means they don't have to report box office returns, which good luck ever getting a straight number out of Netflix, folks. Okay. So what basically is what Spielberg and other people want to do is that they just want to make sure Netflix is doing the same things that the regular industry is doing. They have to put their movies in theaters. There has to be, like for the Cannes Film Festival, they said France said no more having streaming movies. They have to be in theaters for a certain amount of weeks, and then they have to not be available on services like after that for a certain amount of time. Let's see. Ava DuVernay, whose projects with Netflix include 13th and her upcoming When They See Us, pushed back hard against the anti-streaming fervor, asking the Academy to allow other filmmakers to speak or at least be heard from at the upcoming Governor's Board meeting. The board meeting is, like I said, coming soon. And actually, I already said that, but it'll be coming up, and people will be able to, people who are big filmmakers like Ava, like Steven, will be able to voice their concerns. Which and Steven, he could be coming at this the wrong way. It's important to note that we are in a different era of movie going. Not a lot of people are going to buy tickets, but if Netflix is doing such a thing as renting out theaters instead of and not reporting numbers and keeping the money for themselves instead of giving or giving their movies to, I don't know how this works, giving the movies to the theater and saying, hey, AMC, run this. Hey, Regal, run this. Hey, UTA, United Artists, run this. UTA is the managing agency. But Netflix responded. This is from BBC. They responded, I think, like the next day. BBC News from the Newsbeat. There's no author. Netflix responds to Oscars and Steven Spielberg backlash. They tweeted, "We love cinema." That's one strike. Here are some things we also love. Access for people who can't always afford or live in towns without theaters. Letting everyone everywhere enjoy releases at the same time. Giving filmmakers more ways to share art. These things are not mutually exclusive. There's 14,000 likes. Don't like that. That's weird. Netflix has their points. Ava DuVernay also did tweet out this. 190 countries will get When They See Us when their movie premieres. They have a promo for South Africa. She has a promo for South Africa. It's going to be distributed internationally. So that's cool. Selma wasn't distributed internationally, and that was a movie about the march on Jesus. The march that Martin Luther King led. And then Wrinkle in Time wasn't even sent out internationally. I would venture to say that's why it didn't perform well. You don't release a movie wide, and that's a Disney film. You don't release a movie wide, then that's what happens. But I do respect Ava's opinion. I do respect Steven's opinion. But like I said, different era, and there's good movies can come out on good movies, and film, all in quotes, can come out on these streaming services. Hulu's had a few. Amazon has they have their own thing, and they're doing it right. And he didn't say it conspicuously. He didn't say anything about Amazon, but Amazon is doing it right. Manchester by the Sea, they acquired that. They release it in theaters. It's in the theaters for a month or for 2 months or something like that. And then it took until award season for them to release it. So even still. So Amazon is doing it right. And Netflix has some movies that were watched. I can't say which ones I liked. I can tell you which ones I didn't like. That's neither here nor there. But Steven, they all have points. And finally, I want to get to Variety. This is a Variety article. This is talking about two Variety articles talking about Disney and their acquisitions as of late. Okay, so first, Disney is in active talks. This is from Todd Spangler with AT&T to acquire Warner Media's 10% of Hulu stake. Okay, so of course, AT&T bought Time Warner. Time Warner renamed itself to Warner Media, and Disney bought Fox. Fox is still Fox. And it bought Fox assets. Excuse me. So now, years ago, in I don't know, like 2007, 6, or 8. I don't know. That's when I don't know. Disney started Disney. It was ABC, Fox, and NBC and CBS. They all started Hulu. Hulu then lost CBS. CBS is like, nah, we're done. And then the three of them kept their shares. And then I think it was somebody else, like one other entity had a small percentage. And then after Disney bought Fox, they have controlling share of Hulu. I got breaking news about Mark Zuckerberg talking about Facebook's reorientation of encryption and privacy. Who cares? Okay, so I don't know why I read that out loud. So now Disney owns a majority share of Hulu, and Warner still wants to keep the 10%. Or no, they're looking to have their 10%. I reported earlier, I think on News Time, or this stupid podcast, I said that if there were there's two things that could happen. Comcast, it was Comcast. Did I say Comcast? Comcast is NBC Universal. So NBC Universal could sell off its shares and alleviate some of the money debt that Disney is taking on from buying Fox, or it could keep it and not enter the streaming race with its NBC app, which it's going to do regardless of what happens. But Disney wants that 10% from AT&T for the Warner Media. Like I said, they currently hold 30% in Hulu, as does NBC Universal, Comcast, which have said they're still not going to exit. They're like, hey, we don't know. We're not sure. AT&T CFO John Stevens at the telco's Analyst Day last November cited its minority investments in, quote, things like Sky Mexico or Hulu as potential assets it could sell to gain working capital, which they need because they have taken on, with these mergers, you're taking on a bunch of lost money, essentially. I don't want to say lost money. You lose money when you take on a merger, which is why Disney and Fox, there's a whole thing. I mean, which is why a bunch of people are losing their jobs. Even if you're consolidating, people are losing their jobs, which is I will talk about in the next story. But it sucks that people are losing their jobs because. Okay, anyway. The question is what Disney is willing to pay for the 10% stake. Disney last summer pegged Hulu's fair value at $9.296 billion after the 21st Century Fox deal closes, including an implied control premium of $1.246 billion. The $930 million implied value of Warner Media's stake is a 16% premium over Time Warner's original $583 million investment in Hulu in August 2016, plus its subsequent $200 million capital contributions to the streamer, which means it's just, we're going to give you some money to operating costs, essentially, I think. I don't know. AT&T is looking to sell its Hulu minority stake as Warner Media gears up to launch its own subscription streaming service, which I think will be, I'm editorializing this right now, I think it's going to be very difficult to get off the ground. Like I said before, streaming has reached an apex. Apex Legends, like the video game. The game I played twice. It's free. I played it twice. Done. But I think it's reaching apex. And now we're splintering people off from the big three streamers, and it's not good anymore. The still unnamed SVOD service set to debut in the fourth quarter of 2019, which, Disney Plus is coming at some point in 2019 too, will include 3 service tiers, one focused on movies, one with movies plus original programming, and a third tier comprising content from the first 2, along with Warner Media library content and licensed programming. If Disney ends up controlling 70% of Hulu, that would give the media conglomerate even more incentive to invest in Hulu and expand it to international markets, which is a thing. So that's why Netflix has so many users, is because it's available in so many countries. Even if they have access to different amounts of videos, they still have access to Netflix proper, which is a huge thing. I think there are shows that are on Hulu that are only available on Hulu in the United States, but if you go out to the other parts of the world, those shows are available on Netflix. I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is available on Netflix in the other parts of the world, and stuff like that. I don't know other examples, but stuff like that. So there you go. It's very important to hit the international numbers because people are willing to spend. You spend $12 on Netflix, you spend $12 on Hulu, you got all the TV you could ever watch. But if Hulu's not available in Canada, for instance, then there's no point in even looking toward it. Under Disney's control, Hulu will stay focused on adult-oriented general entertainment fare, while the forthcoming Disney Plus subscription product will be a family-friendly wheelhouse. That's what Iger said to Disney CEO Bob Iger, who's also taking a pay cut hit, I believe, in the coming thanks to the merger. But if they're willing to report that, then what things aren't they willing to report? Maybe Iger has got some latent stock in the company. He'll be added as a producer to the movies. I don't know. Who knows? That's just me. That's conjecture. For Hulu, having one controlling owner could help it accelerate growth and amid heavy competition in the streaming market. And I saw a list yesterday which had the top 10. It was on a Business Insider video or something. It was CNBC. I was watching how Twitch became a streaming juggernaut. Interesting video. And they listed the top 10 streamers. I think Amazon was number 6, or Prime was number 6. Netflix number 1, of course. It was followed by a bunch of services like HTTP, HTML. And then it was Amazon was number 6. Twitch was not in number 7 or something like that. And then number 10 was Hulu. Even though it's not available as far and wide reaching as Netflix is, it's still ranking up there with Prime, with Netflix as one of the big 3 streamers. Hulu said it ended 2018 with more than 25 million total subscribers, a net gain of 8 million for the year. Last year, according to Hulu, it grew revenue more than 45% in 2018 to nearly 1.5 billion, a company record. So there we go. We'll see what happens when Disney Plus comes out. We'll see what happens when the Fox deal closes. Speaking of the Fox deal, this is also for Variety. Brett Lang, Cynthia Littleton, and Joe Otterson. How Fox employees are bracing for life under Disney. So, like I said before, there's people losing their jobs because of these mergers, and it is not good. Before, I think last year when I heard of this, I thought, oh, cool. This is really interesting. And then I got worried. I didn't get worried, but I thought, then I started thinking, well, this is going to create a monopoly. This Disney Fox merger. No one seems to care. So the government doesn't care. Fans don't care because they just want to see Star-Lord kiss Wolverine or whatever they want to do. And so I don't think, should I continue caring for something like this? Which is, yeah, I think I should continue caring, but eventually I went from, okay, this is a monopoly to I guess it doesn't matter anymore and nothing matters. To me kind of wanting this to wanting this to slow down, because there have been reports that there's going to be a significant amount of job losses. I know that camera's off and I turned to it. There's going to be a significant amount of job losses because of this merger, which is going to be a stinker for both Disney and for Fox, both for Disney and both for Fox. Okay, so the Murdochs are going to unveil Fox Corp, their slimmed down media company that boasts Fox Broadcasting and Fox News, to the investment community, likely with details of how it will be capitalized, as well as some executive hires. Disney is expected to assume ownership of the rest of Fox within a day of that announcement, so that's going to be sometime in the spring, next couple of weeks. The marriage of Fox and Disney is uncharted territory in the media landscape. There's rarely been an acquisition of this size or union, blah, blah, blah. Let's scroll on down. Let's talk about the jobs. Insiders at the studios say they are uncertain how smoothly Disney will be able to integrate Fox and how quickly it will make its presence felt. As many as 4,000 jobs are expected to be cut in the process. But the expectation is that the first round of layoffs will hit more senior executives who carry higher salaries before things turn to those lower on the corporate ladder, which is true. A lot of, or not a lot. Let's back up, Chad. A few Fox executives or a few Disney executives have left the company. Channing Dungey, of course, she left the TV side. And a couple other people. And then for Fox, I can't name, I think at 21st century, at Fox Broadcasting for the broadcast network, I believe. No, I'm sorry. There was a man and a woman who were both co-presidents or something like that. And then they were going to be brought over, and then one of them left. I don't remember because I stopped paying attention to this because this is just such a abysmal travesty. Oh, I just cracked my thumb. But there's going to be jobs that are going to be lost. I know for the AT&T and Warner Media, For HBO, the head of HBO just stepped down, and there's the new guy taking the place is it's this guy's been at HBO for I think like 2 decades now, or something like that, and he's brought in a lot of the best TV shows ever. But this new person is just going. He says he's not going to try to ruin the legacy of that guy, but who knows what happens with that. Okay, Disney is looking for $2 billion in cost synergies. Fox's film business will likely be more impacted, with the axe falling hardest on jobs in its marketing, sales, and distribution arms. Because you can't have 2 marketing arms. You can't like if Disney has good marketing and then Fox has, decent marketing, Disney's going to say, okay, well, we know these people. Let's just merge them and then just get rid of some of the others. It's not just layoffs that are worrying employees at this film studio. Producers are concerned that some of their movies will be relegated to Disney Plus, the company's new streaming service, instead of being released in theaters. Then there are fears that projects that are in various stages of development will be killed or deemed not Disney-friendly enough. Some filmmakers are relieved, however, after Disney CEO Iger said that the studio would make R-rated movies after it buys Fox. That's a rating Disney has avoided as it tries to preserve a family-friendly outage. Okay. So, this is all so true. That is one thing that you have to be careful about, is that Disney has its own agenda, and while yes, you may be making a movie, they can say, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. That's probably what might happen with. I know I talked about what is that called? What movie? The New Mutants, the X-Men spinoff. The New Mutants is supposed to come out sometime in the fall. It wasn't. First, it was hard to get made. Second, they made it, and then it maybe is not so good. Third, Fox is like, should we release this? And so now it's up in the air if that movie's coming out in the fall or not. It's already made. Who knows what's going to happen? So it could come out on Hulu. Disney could just say, we don't want, just scrap it, just throw it away, or it could be a Disney Plus type thing, which actually no, it's a family friendly thing. So no, New Mutants is I think an R-rated horror film. A few film executives, such as 20th Century Fox Film Vice Chairman Emma Watts, Fox 2000 Chief Elizabeth Gabler, and Fox Searchlight co-heads Steve Giulia and Nancy Utley, will be making the move to the combined company. But aside from this core group, few executives have been told if there will be a place for them in the mix, though many have had meetings, which they've seen as informal auditions with the team at Disney. That's like auditioning for SNL. That makes it feel like just like, hey, you're a funny person. You're probably already working right now, but we'll see what happens after this. The meddling of Fox and Disney's TV production assets will surely be a complicated process. Fox's 20th Century Fox Television rivals Warner Brothers as one of the industry's largest suppliers of scripted TV series. Fox's production infrastructure also includes Fox 21 Television Studios, home of Showtime's Homeland and The Chi. FX is okay, so they just have a bunch of TV shows. So they're worried about the TV shows coming in. The production management will come under Peter Rice and Dana Walden, those who are talking about, the Fox alums who have been handed the keys to most of Disney's TV kingdom. So I thought one of them left, but apparently neither of them did. So there we go. This is good for me. I didn't seem too stupid. John Landgraf is expected to remain a separate, and he's the FX head. He's a really smart guy. I like him a lot. He's expected to remain a separate entity in the combined company, along with its FX Prods arm. Landgraf's tight-knit executive team figures to stay mostly intact. Oh, they're excited. They're ready for this podcast to end. Me too, buddy. Me too. The Disney and Fox TV production divisions will be under extreme pressure to produce hit shows for ABC, the nascent Disney Plus streaming service, the Cabler, Freeform, and non-Disney outlets. That's crazy. So that's 4 places. But who's going to be doing stuff under Hulu? I wonder if they're just going to reach out and just say, hey, this is. But I mean, obviously they can't give all their shows to Hulu. Never mind. So that doesn't make sense. Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Those guys. They did the Lego Movie. They did. It's the movie, the cartoon movie. The cartoon TV show. Will Forte was Lincoln. Oh my God, I feel so stupid. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. This is the second time in 2 weeks that this has happened. And I used Clone High. I used to watch the show all the time. He was Abe Lincoln in that show. I think that was an MTV show, wasn't it? Was that an MTV show? Yeah, it was an MTV show. Look at me knowing that. So Phil Lord and Chris Miller are among the more prominent names expected to end production deals at Fox once their current deals expire in June. This is my favorite part. According to sources, the celebrated duo is, quote, running out the clock at the studio. They're believed to be talking to Netflix and Amazon, and also some other studios. Sony is looking to sign some big names to remain competitive with studio rivals and streaming services. And they might want to land Lord and Miller, who just did the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie with them, which is also getting its own sequel and a spinoff with the Spider-Girls. Steve Levitan of Modern Family fame, whose deal at Fox TV runs out in August, he's saying he's waiting for the fate of Modern Family. Modern Family was said it was going to get one season left at ABC, so who knows? The Levitan has several options. Seth MacFarlane, whose shows are on Fox, Family Guy and The Orville, his deal is up in June as well, and streamers and studios are courting him as too. So who knows? But I think he can jump ship. But Orville, the only reason Orville and Family Guy are staying on Fox is because they own it. They own it. If Fox owns the show, then they said they wanted to keep it. AT&T has purchased Time Warner. Comcast is planning to buy B Sky B. And a raft of digital players such as Apple and Netflix is challenging the more traditional studios. That means that displaced Fox and Disney employees have to be more flexible when it comes to finding their next jobs. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So there we go. It's important that we keep measured minds about these mergers. It's great. The Avengers are going to meet the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four are going to be a thing again, and blah, blah, blah. But this is all going to come. There's going to be some tumult with these moves. People, lose their jobs, and people lose their jobs every day, blah, blah, blah. But it's difficult for these things to exist. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? The Disney Fox deal is an interesting one. It's the biggest production company, the biggest studio in the world, buying one of the other biggest studios in the world, and then it basically creating it being Disney as a subject of the sentence, creating basically what is amounting to a monopoly. And monopolies aren't that good. You don't want to have one company. You don't want to have six companies making all the movies you watch. Even if Focus Features, even if you like Focus Features, which creates mostly indie movies, they are still a studio. It's still a studio that is under the arm of Fox, and Fox is a big major company. You can say I love watching Daredevil on Netflix, but it's still coming from a conglomerate, a media monster, a media mogul. And we gotta keep in mind that people lose their jobs over this stuff. But it's great and I'm reminded by a tweet that I love so much, and I don't check Twitter, so this is very important that I did this. I even used the realtwitter.com. I went there and I had to like this tweet. Let's see. Let me go to my tweets. This is R. Kelly denies the allegations in an interview with Gail. Ooh, Gail. What are we doing? Okay. So this is a tweet from the comedian Jack Allison. Everyone's still so excited to see Wolverine meet the Avengers, given that it has created a behemoth entertainment conglomerate with business practices like this. And oh crap, it linked to a tweet. That tweet is unavailable right now. Okay, this is one tweet he did February 8th. Finally, Wolverine gets to meet Star-Lord. And it says, and the headline for the story is, Disney-Fox merger will result in at least 4,000 jobs lost. It's so sad because it's true. Like, people are so excited that, you know, their popcorn flicks are going to finally be as sweet as they wanted them to be, but people are going to get booted for this. Listen, if you like what you heard here, why don't you head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there's interviews and stuff like this. The video version of this lives. You can also head to the website, youtube.com/cpluscomedy, to see a video version of this podcast, as well as, because who wouldn't want to see my bright, shining face? I'm smiling. Just listen. You can also head on over to youtube.com/cpluscomedy to see the premiere show for this stupid thing called News Time. News Time is an weekly entertainment news show that is like The Daily Show, except way less funny. We take one big story and we dive right in. This week was the birth of UPN, the United Paramount Network, which was basically a black broadcast network on broadcast. A great way to end Black History Month. So there you go. You should definitely check it out. It's I think the cold open is better than the episode, which is not saying much. Okay, so definitely check it out. I very much appreciate it. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. Oh yeah, I can't say I love you anymore. I think you're the best. Thank you for listening. This episode is way too long. Goodbye.